Welcome everyone to our final week on the Oscar reviews on the documentary, international, and animated films that were nominated for the 92nd Annual Academy Awards. As this week, I'll be reviewing the winners for Best Animated Feature, Best Documentary Feature, and Best International Feature. What I'll do is I'll review the winning film, then rank the 5 nominees from my least favorite to my favorite one, mention any of the other categories if any of the other films had additional nominations or even a win, and if other people were voting for the nominations, what would others vote for? And we begin with our winner for Best Animated Feature. And what other company knows how to usually make the best animated films almost every year than the folks at Disney? Specifically at Pixar, as they have now 10 wins under their belt. When you think of a movie from Pixar, the first film you would jump into is their first film, but also the first computer animated featured film, Toy Story. The 1995 classic turned not only Pixar to be one of the most well-known movie studios for the media of animation, but also made computer animated films into today's world of animated films, which leaves hand-drawn and stop-motion films a little down in terms of the box office. Toy Story would end up becoming Pixar's biggest franchise, not also with many attractions at the Disney parks, but also a hand-drawn direct-to-video movie from Disney Toons, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Adventure Begins, which would later got a TV series, video games, toys, obviously, and of course a Buzz Lightyear balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But the best that came from the franchise are the movies themselves, as of course they made Toy Story 2 in 1999, which was the movie that made Pixar themselves into a company, and Toy Story 3 in 2010, which not only became the first animated feature to pass $1 billion worldwide at the box office, but also marked the end to what I would say a golden era of Pixar. Why I would say that is because Pixar went from a fantastic conclusion with Toy Story 3 to their worst film by far. Yeah, I like to call Cars 2 Mater's Tall Tales the movie, in my personal taste of that Mater Spy spinoff. Anyways, back onto Toy Story. In terms of the Academy's history with the franchise, they have been nominated for some categories. For Toy Story, the then well-behaved at the time John Lasseter, the director of the first 2 films, got a Special Achievement Award for directing the first computer animated featured film. With 3 nominations for Best Original Score in a Comedy or Musical, Best Original Song for You've Got a Friend in Me, and Best Original Screenplay, which marked Toy Story the first animated film to be nominated for a writing award in the Oscars history. For Toy Story 2, it only got nominated for Best Original Song for When She Loved Me. And for Toy Story 3, which was directed by Lee Unkrich, it of course did win for Best Animated Feature, which did beat the first How to Train Your Dragon, so that's why we have a rematch for this past Oscars, and Best Original Song for We Belong Together, with 3 additional nominations for Best Sound Editing, Best Adapted Screenplay, and became the 3rd animated film to be nominated for Best Picture, after Up and Beauty and the Beast, but lost to The King's Speech. But it was the latest animated film to be nominated for that category as of 2020. But then, 9 years later, after they did that conclusion, they decided to make a 4th film, which received a lot of backlash for trying to be a billion-dollar cash bait for Disney. But when it came out, it still ended up being a surprise to many people, and of course did make $1 billion at the box office. And of course it won the Critics' Choice and Producers Guild, and it did got Pixar's 10th win for Best Animated Feature, but also an additional nomination for what a shock for Best Original Song for I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, which is our winning animated film, Toy Story 4. In this 4th installment of the series, this time directed by Josh Cooley, sets after the events of Toy Story 3 as the gang were in hand of their new owner, Bonnie, who was getting ready for kindergarten. Woody decides to go with Bonnie without her knowing since she was not happy to be at school, so Woody decided to help Bonnie to make a pencil holder out of trash, and she made the holder into a sport toy named Forky, and ended up coming to life. Why, I don't know. Woody tells the others that he's important to Bonnie. However, the others are not really trusting Woody because he still has Andy in his head, and also Bonnie has not been playing with him recently. So during a road trip, Forky ended up escaping the RV thanks to Buzz, and Woody left the RV to get him back, which he did and convinced Forky that he's so important to Bonnie, which he finally understands. Somewhat. However, on the way back to the RV, Woody stumbles upon a lamp that he recognized in an antique store, and it was the lamp that belonged to his love, Bo Peep, who went to another owner 9 years earlier. Or should I say, in the store collecting dust. They went in and stumble upon Gabby, who found out that Woody has a working voice box. When they tried to escape, Forky ended up being stuck with Gabby and her creepy dummies. Woody needs to find a way to get him back, and when he reunites with Bo Peep and her sheep, he convinces Bo to help, which she does. So Woody, Bo, along with Buzz and 4 others to rescue Forky and get back to Bonnie before she and her family leaves. Now, I really don't need to explain my thoughts on the original trilogy, because I loved all 3 Toy Story movies, and it's not surprising that Toy Story 2 was my #1 childhood film. They are all perfect in any way or another, with maybe a little issues they have, but it cannot top on how great those movies are. And Toy Story 4 continues the streak. This is definitely a great follow-up to Toy Story 3. With only taking place after the events of 3 with their new owner, it definitely shows how Josh Cooley did a great job in his directorial debut, and how strong the script is, since Cooley was one of the writers of Inside Out, and Pixar legend Andrew Stanton was one of the screenwriters. Speaking of the script, it had a lot of rewrites, which you can tell on how many people got the story credit for the screenplay, including Will McCormick, Rashida Jones, and even controversially John Lasseter, despite of him getting uncredited for executive producing this film and Frozen 2, still got the credit for the script, which I guaranteed why Toy Story 4 wasn't campaigning for adapted screenplay, because people want to avoid Lasseter like what the Academy did with Bryan Singer for the previous year for directing Bohemian Rhapsody. Back onto the review, what makes the script so amazing is basically the unpredictable moments until the very end of the movie, which really gets you very emotional. Another way on how it works are the characters. Of course, we all know Woody has been struggling without Andy, as he still feels on how Bonnie is treating him not as a leader as he used to. Buzz, of course, brings in the message of listening to your inner voice, and the big comeback of Bo Peep and her sheep on becoming independent toys by helping other kids for play, and toys to find a new owner. And this is by far the best development of Bo Peep, especially with the relationship she has with Woody. Also, what is with all the 5 nominees for Best Animated Feature having involved with love in some way? Then you got the new ones. Duke Kaboom is a stuntman that has a tough time as a toy, and it makes sense why Keanu Reeves is an A-list celebrity today. Giggle McDimples as Bo's sidekick, and when she's bouncing, her sound reminds me of P.T. Flea's sound in A Bug's Life. Then you get Forky, who I thought was going to be an annoying character based on the trailers, but he actually does have a great personality of his humorous way when he is addicted to the trash. Which makes sense on why I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away is the funniest song probably of the series from Randy Newman. Then my new favorite characters from the movie, Ducky and Bunny, and since it's Key and Peele as their voices, you know it's gonna be hilarious. But then you get Gabby, who is the first straightforward animated Disney villain, either from Disney Animation or Pixar, since Mother Gothel from Tangled. And here, yes, her dummies are creepy, but unlike Sid, Stinky Pete, Al, and Lotso, Gabby has a different way as she's not like any of the other Toy Story villains, but I won't go into spoiler territory. Then there's the animation. When you watch all 4 movies chronologically, you can see how technology for computer animated films has been advanced from 1995 to 1999 to 2010 and to now 2019. This can easily tell based on the backgrounds, the layout cinematography, the change from Andy in the opening prologue, and Bo Peep. Although it seems weird at first, but you'll be impressed in how Pixar has done a great job in advancement between this and the 3rd film. If there is any minimal criticisms, it would have to be the rest of Bonnie's toys, since not only we don't get much screen time with them, but also some of the humor is mixed, especially when Trixie and Buttercup wants to have Bonnie's dad go to jail. Also, the end credits song of The Ballad of the Lonesome Cowboy is kind of weak. Despite of that, I think that Toy Story 4 is a great follow-up, but if you ask me where do I rank these movies from least to best, Honestly, I can't rank them because they're all good in one way or the other. They have great stories and lovable characters we grew up with, impressive animation during their times from the 90s and 2010s, and they only have one minor issue, and that's it. They're all perfect no matter what. And of course, since this is a Disney film, no recommendations here whatsoever. But now we come into our ranking on what is my least favorite to the best one of the 5 nominees. Starting up at number 5, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Even though it's better than the second one, but not as strong as the first film, as it still goes into a little bit of a dark territory and being a little bit too comedic on its romance, especially with Toothless. Number 4, Klaus. I know people are going to rant me that I have it so low here, but keep in mind, I like the spirit it has with the message and a great chemistry with Jesper and Klaus, but with an underdog predictable plot and the 2D animation trying to look like 3D didn't work for me. Number 3, I Lost My Body. Despite of a predictable love plot, which I feels like she was almost stalking her for some reason, but the animation on how it was a 3D film to make it look like a 2D film with rotoscoping is impressive, and the amount of no dialogue present in the film is just awesome. The scenes with the severed hand alone are the best. Number 2, Missing Link. Despite of some predictable moments and some weak supporting characters, it does have a great originality on its heart with Sir Lionel Frost and Mr. Link, and great action scenes. This film would tell you why stop motion isn't dead, let alone original films as well. And my number 1 animated film, and I know this is going to be a boring or overrated choice for some people, I don't feel sorry at all for anyone who disagrees with me, because Toy Story 4 was going to be my number 1, on how Pixar surprises us to make a follow-up to the perfect ending of the third film to a fantastic fourth film, no pun intended, that fits equally with the trilogy. So what a shock. You can guess that for me, it did deserve the win for Best Animated Feature, no question. But what about Best Original Song for I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away? Do I think it should have won for that? Well, no. I would say I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man did deserve that win. If you're wondering where I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away is in terms of the ranking of the original song nominees, the ranking for me from 5 to 1 would be I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough, Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, Stand Up from Harriet, then I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, and I'm Gonna Love Me Again at number 1. Back onto the animated feature category, if other people was voting for the nominations, what would others vote for? Well, I'll say for me, I would have Toy Story 4, Missing Link, and I Lost My Body 100%, but not have How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. The one questioning for me is Klaus, since I don't know if I would have it in my 5 or not, since there were 3 other options that were active during the animated feature race during the award season. There's DreamWorks' other animated film that was released the same year, Abominable, which was at Critics' Choice and the Producers Guild, Walt Disney Animation Studios' Frozen 2, which was nominated everywhere except for the Oscars in terms of the Best Animated Feature category, and the Japanese film Weathering With You, which was GK's biggest film, directed by the same guy who did Your Name, that didn't appear anywhere except for the Annies. But I can't say I haven't watched those 3 films, yet alone I haven't watched the first Frozen still as of today. And that ends our Oscars animated reviews of the year. If you have not yet, you can click that subscribe button and comment down below your ranking if you have seen all the 5 nominees. Also, do you agree or disagree that Toy Story 4 deserved it or not? As we begin our Winners Week, on Wednesday we'll be talking about our winner for Best Documentary Feature.